Welcome back to Mindset Mondays. I'm your host, Garrett Bake, and I appreciate you guys making the time to join us today on this beautiful day. Depending on where you are in this great country of ours, you may have been buried by snow this weekend. Well, I know we were. In fact, we had a tumbleweed parade in the neighborhood. One of my neighbor's houses had about 100 different tumbleweeds stacked up in front of his house, which made for an interesting yard day for him. But today I want to talk about you, and more specifically, what you're doing or not doing that's keeping you from the outcome, i.e., the business that you want. I want to share a little story with you. I haven't been skiing in well over 20 years. That's right. Well over 20 years. In fact, I've only been skiing about 4 times in my life. I think it was 3 or 4, but it was in my late teens. And this last week, I had the opportunity to meet up with a few friends of mine. We have our own little mastermind. And one of our activities was to go skiing up in Park City. Now, if you've been to Park City, you know the snow is absolutely beautiful. In fact, I think they're one of the largest terrain-wise ski resorts in the entire nation. And as I got up there and grabbed my skis, I felt a little bit of panic, a little bit of fear, because again, I hadn't done this for so long. Now, lucky for us, we had hired some instructors. And I'll tell you right now, on the outside looking in, I'm really glad that we did. So we go out and, we're going over the basics, how to clip in and clip out of the skis and, how to kind of balance and whatnot. And finally, it's like, hey, we just need to go hit some hills. Now, we divided into 2 groups. The more advanced group, these guys ski regularly, and then we'll call us the rookies, me and a couple of my buddies. And so the instructor's going through some things, and finally he's like, hey, let's just go hit the hill. And so we go to this one particular hill, up the ski lift, get off, didn't fall, thank goodness. But we started to go down, and I'm going about as slow as a grandma in the fast lane, headed to her hair appointment on a Tuesday afternoon, like super slow, right? Because I'm scared of what might happen. And it wasn't that I was scared of what might happen, but really what was slowing me up was my inability to figure out what I needed to do, because I had no idea. It had been 20 years since I'd gone down the hill. And so the instructor, he's telling us, shift your weight here and turn your skis this way and make sure your body doesn't over rotate here. And he's going over all these, real basic things. And I got a little faster, I made it down the hill a few times without falling over. Finally, he's like, I think you guys are going too slow. And I was like, whoa, take it easy. What do you mean? Right. And then he's like, hey, take those poles and just set them on that gate over there. And I looked at him kind of funny. He's like, set them on the gate. So we set our poles on the gate, and it's just me and this pair of skis, right? So we get on the ski lift, we go up to the top, didn't fall off again, and we start to go down. This funny thing happened. In one run, I got way better than I'd been the entire previous time. One run, right? Now, why was that? Well, it was because I wasn't focused on the things that were distracting me. See, the poles were distracting me, and I was using them as kind of a handicap. When I wasn't turning enough, I'd use the pole. Or when I was going too fast, then I'd use the pole. Or then I'd try and turn with the pole. And I'd try to do all these things with the poles instead of actually leveraging the skis the way the skis were meant to be used. That afternoon, the instructor's like, well, you got 2 choices. We can keep playing around on this bunny hill, or we can head to the top of the mountain. There's a medium level trail that we can follow down. It's about 4.5 miles. I was like, let's roll. Well, when we got to the top and started coming down, apparently I forgot everything that I'd learned in the morning because I started to fall. Hadn't fallen all morning, but I was falling right and left. And finally, the instructor just took my poles away again. And he said, you're thinking about this too much. You're second guessing. You're doubting. Instead of trusting that you have the capability, the capacity, and the equipment you need to be successful. And sure enough, he took them away, and down I went. Now, I fell a couple more times, yes, but I will tell you that it was much more smooth and a whole lot better than it was with those poles. Now, why do I tell you that? I tell you that because I want you to understand something. At times, we make life and business way more difficult than it needs to be. Way more difficult, right? We start to put things in place that we think are there to help us out, but they're actually slowing us down. They're actually messing us up because we don't understand how to use them properly. And I'm going to explain that here in a second. But before I do, I want to give a couple of shout outs. We got Michael here. We got Rhino Builders from Minnesota, all service pro handyman from Apple Valley, California. We've got Ortega here with the salute. Appreciate you guys being here. And if you are watching us, please drop in the comments a little hello. Give us your name, your location. You can shout out your business. We got Ortega Quality Construction from Los Angeles, California. TQA Fox as well, checking in. Ryan McEntee. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Again, appreciate all you guys being here on the show with us on this beautiful Monday. Alex with Dreamscape Construction from Colorado Springs. Hopefully you didn't get dumped on this weekend either. So what does me skiing down a mountain, and I say mountain, but let's just be real. The first half was a bunny hill, but me skiing down this mountain have to do with you and your contracting business? Well, I'm glad you asked. We got Kyle checking in, Mold Brothers from Maine. And let's see what else. Ryan is from Key West Remodeling in Orlando, Florida. Daniel Staton from Raleigh, North Carolina. My brother lives there. You guys had a beautiful weekend. Nazar from Tile Pro, Clearwater, Florida. And Temi with Temi LLC Cleaning Services from Atlanta, Georgia. Damn, we got a lot of you guys checking in. I like this. I don't know. I'm not going to get enough talking in if I keep calling you guys out. But don't worry. We're popping your name up on the screen, so you're going to make it on the show. Back to what it is that we came here to talk about. Why is it that we have a tendency to make things more complicated than they need to be? Well, there's a couple different reasons, okay? The first thing is what we call fear. Now, you've probably heard all the different acronyms that have to do with fear, right? Fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. Yes, but fear comes from two sources: what we don't know and what we don't understand. Those two things, okay? So then if we know that fear comes from those two sources, we can eliminate fear, right? By understanding more, i.e. learning, or learning how to do something better, or maybe for the first time, okay? And I'm going to ask you a few different questions that have to do with your business. If you're driving, please keep driving. But if you're in some stationary spot, I'd love to get some feedback from you and your business. Now, I'm going to ask the question first, okay? Because then I want to talk about the particular response. Now, I just want to ask you again, questions that have to do with you and have to do with your business and where it is that you see yourself. Like if I was to rate myself skiing ability right now, 1 to 10, I would say I'm probably 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. I can make it down a mountain, but I'm praying that I don't lose a leg or a limb, right? So it's not that great. But I want you to rate yourself where you believe you are inside of your business, okay? The first area that I want to talk about is leadership, right? If you were to rate your leadership for your business, scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself, right? Leadership inside of your business. Now, let me explain what leadership is. Most contractors don't understand what leadership is. Leadership is not doing it, okay? You would not be a successful contractor if you couldn't do it, right? Insert roofing, landscaping, drywall, flooring, cleaning, whatever the thing is. It's not about the doing it. That is leadership, right? Leadership is your ability to get others to do the thing that they need to do at the highest level. And it's not by pointing a gun at their head. It's not by kicking them in the butt. It's not by threatening to fire them. That's not what leadership is about, right? Leadership is about inspiring. It's about motivating. It's about challenging people to raise the standard. Okay, that is leadership. So if we were to look at your business right now and you were analyzing it, outside looking in, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? Where does your leadership fall? Now, I always start with leadership because a lot of contractors think that, it's leads, it's my sales ability, it's my ability to do the work that is going to get me where it is that I want to go. And to a point, you're right. But ultimately, you didn't get in business to work harder. You didn't get into business to work more hours, right? Why did you get in business? You got in business so that you could create a business that allowed you to live a particular lifestyle that you want to live. That's why you got in business. So when we look at leadership, we're looking at two things, okay? Your job as a CEO, we've talked about this before. Your job as a CEO is to provide vision. Where are we going as a business, right? It's just like when you're in a boat in the middle of a lake or the middle of the ocean if you're crazy enough. But you're in a boat, right? You don't know where you're going. Then what direction are you going to turn? Well, it doesn't matter because you don't know where you're going, right? None of that stuff matters. So number one is the direction. Where are we going? The vision. Where's this business headed? Number two is the culture. Who are we as a business? And I'll talk about that more here in a second. But who are we as a business? If you can't determine who you are on the inside, how do you expect anybody from the outside to know? Do they care about your business name? All right. Hate to be the one to break it to you. They don't care about your business name. I had to learn this the hard way. I spent hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars designing the logo for my business, designing the name, making it sound and look super cool. And I used to think that it mattered. Well, I'll tell you that of the 20 clients that we've signed on to work with us this year, 20 of them, 18 of them had no idea what the business name was. And I say that because in the end, it doesn't matter. It's the outcome, right? How do people make you feel? Can they actually help you get the result that you're after? Your customers, your clients are the exact same way. You might have the coolest logo ever. You might have the sexiest name ever. But what people really care about is, can you help them get the outcome that you're after? Okay. Internally and externally. So that is your leadership. Okay. Third piece, again, is the resources. Can we provide the resources we need to succeed? One of my clients this last weekend had a horrible weekend. One of his trucks, a transmission blew out. The other one literally got stuck in the mud. Right? And two things could have happened. He's going to have been pissed off and yelled at the guy for driving through the mud to begin with, right? Or find the solution to the problem and move on, which is what he did. So number one, leadership. Where do you rate yourself? Scale of 1 to 10. Number two, when we're looking at your business, we're looking now at culture. And I talked about culture for a second, but I really want to dive into it. People aren't going to want to work with you because you have the best uniforms or you have the best trucks. And even, oddly enough, as this sounds, because you pay the best. Does that matter? Sure. But long-term, it doesn't. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Each of us have worked at a job or worked for someone else where we got compensated pretty well. But man, it was a shitty environment. We hated our boss. We hated the fact that we got yelled at every day. We hated the fact that our work was never good enough. We were always having to go back and redo it. We hated the fact that we never got a pat on the back, a fist bump, a high five, some type of, hey, you did a good job, an attaboy, right? And so we left. It wasn't because of the money. It was because of the culture. So when we look at your culture, how would you rate it? Scale of 1 to 10. Is your culture like the best ever, right? You guys have your vision and your mission and every employee can repeat it. You have your core values written on your shirts that your guys walk around in every day. Part of your sales presentations is talking about your core values and what matters. Or are you asking yourself right now, what are core values? I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to hold up a mirror and help you see what's really happening right now. Our core values, for example, number one, have fun. Why? Because why would you want to do anything if it's not fun, right? So number one is have fun. Number two is do the work. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you have to do the work, but you're going to have fun doing it, right? So have fun, do the work. Number three, do what you said you were going to do. When I work with every one of my employees and every one of my clients, and we set out plans, right? Where are we going to get to how are we going to get to where we want to get to? We start off with a very clear conversation of, this is not my target. This is not my goal. This is not my outcome. This is yours. However, my job as a leader of this organization is to hold you accountable to the thing that you said you were going to do. Period. And so I help people get clear on that and then hold them accountable. How is it that I'm going to help you get to where it is that you want to get to? Okay. So when we talk about core values, you have to be able to repeat them at a moment's notice. And in fact, you want every single one of your employees to do the exact same thing. If not, you can tell yourself you have a good culture, but the truth is you're just winging it. Third area that you need to rate yourself in: marketing and sales. Now, before you get your panties up in a wad, this is not how much money you're making, because some of you don't have as many years of experience. Some of you walked into a system that was already set up for you. But when I'm talking about marketing and sales, I want to know your ability to do what drives the growth of a business, which is marketing and sell. Okay. Now, marketing. What are we talking about when we say marketing? I recently put a post up on Facebook and I said, hey, what's your best lead source? And about half of the people said referrals. Now I dug a little deeper, right? Half of those were small businesses, meaning they were doing under 250,000 a year. Half of those were doing over 7 figures. What was the difference between the two? Their definition of a referral. Some of them were reactive, those under $250,000 a year, and some of those were proactive. In fact, building or getting referrals was actively part of their marketing process. In fact, one business owner who has a concrete company asks for referrals as soon as the contract is signed, not waiting for the job to get done, right away. And he said the referrals account for about 50% of his business, well over 7 figures, right? Now, I'm not telling you how to do things. That's not what this is about. But I want you to start thinking, are you proactive or are you reactive with marketing? Same thing when it comes to sales. Some of you just like to show up at a house and be like, hey, how's it going? I'm smiling. I took a shower this morning and I have an iPad. Let's close this deal. Some of you are much more proactive. As soon as you hang up the phone after scheduling that appointment, an email goes out. In that email, you describe a little bit more about your business, your core values, what matters to you. You talk about what it is that the client should expect, when it is that you show up. When you show up, you have a beautiful sales presentation. You walk through different pain points that your client is experiencing, and you're able to close that deal. But if you're not, you have a leave behind. And then you have a follow-up process to be able to follow up so you can increase your close rate, right? That is a sales process, not just showing up, hoping and praying you're going to close a deal. So marketing and sales, scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself? Okay. Next area that we look at then is recruiting. It's cool to be able to sell jobs. It sucks to have to do them by yourself. Let's just be real. As much as you may like whatever it is that you do, the truth is you don't want to keep doing it. So how do we take that tool belt off for good, right? How do we hang it up? How do we never hit a job site again? Ooh, what would that be like? Right? You're never going to do it if you cannot build a team that can help you execute your vision. Not a team that makes you go back and do the work that they were supposed to do, but they didn't do it right. So now you got to do it, right? Where is it that you're at with your recruiting? Now, recruiting, I say recruiting, but it's also recruiting, hiring, and training, right? All three are kind of in the same bucket. So what are you doing to attract the top talent? Well, first of all, do you even know who you're looking for? And I say that because if I asked you right now, next hire, who does it need to be? Some of you will name a position, but very few of you will actually name the qualifications. Very few of you will be able to describe the roles and responsibilities. Even fewer of you will be able to build a description of what this actual person looks like. You close your eyes and you can picture them. That's the depth with which you need to have this defined, because you got to think of it like fishing. If you know what it is you're trying to catch, then you're going to use the right lure, the right bait to increase the likelihood of you catching it, right? Recruiting is exactly the same, which, by the way, for those of you who think that you have to literally go after the people who are unemployed only, you're sorely mistaken. In fact, most of the good people are probably employed. Your job is to attract them. I didn't say steal them. I said attract them, right? Same thing when it comes to hiring. What does your hiring process look like? Your core values should be part of your hiring process, but are they? Are you spending the time, the energy, and the attention that you need to make sure that you're bringing the right people on board? Now, depending on the size of your business, you may implement some additional tools like behavior profiling. Yes, that's right. When I was working as a police officer, we would profile people, not based on race, religion, or anything like that, like the movies show you, but literally we would say, okay, we've had 6 armed robberies in the last 3 weeks. Let's look at the location. Let's look at the time. Let's look at the day of the week, and let's start to build a profile. Okay, what clues do we have? Well, we have a red car. Okay, we have a 5'10" male. We have, and we'd slowly start to collect information. We build a profile. And on that profile, we would now create a list of possible suspects, which allowed us to solve crimes quicker and more efficiently. Now, you're not a cop and you're not solving crimes. However, you are a business owner and you know what it's like to hire somebody only to have to fire them the next week. You know what it's like to hire someone only to have them not show up the next day. It's frustrating. Makes you want to pull your hair out. I don't have any left, or I would. The point is, what are you setting up to help you filter through those people faster, right? Good old Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, has a very simple statement that he lives by. Hire slow, fire fast. That's it. Hire slow, fire fast. So he spends time filtering people through his hiring process. And then when he gets to the training process, he has it set up in a way that if you don't meet certain levels or parameters, you're gone. It doesn't keep warm bodies. It drags everyone else down. So think about now your training process. What does it look like? I always teach contractors to implement a very simple 3-step training process. Prior to that, I want to talk to Justin, just posted. He said, we had our whole team do 3 behavior assessment profiles. Myers-Briggs, DISC, and Clifton Strengths. Helps us understand our team and what makes everyone tick a lot better. He's got 3, right? I'm saying you need 1 minimum. But the point is exactly what he said. Helps us understand our team and what makes everyone tick a lot better. Helps you put the right people in the right seat, okay? So now what do we do when it comes to training? Well, again, your training needs to be a simple 3-step process. And this is what we teach all of our contractors. Okay. Number 1, watch me do it. I don't care if they had come with 20 years of experience or if they're brand spanking new. They have to watch you do it. Why? Because there's a very particular way that you want things done. How many different ways are there to drywall or to re-roof or to lay sod or to paint? There's a lot of different ways, but you want it done a particular way. Cool. It's on you to show them. Now, your show them phase could be 2 hours. It could be 2 days. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. You're determining that, right? The complexity of the job. Point is, you need a show me phase. And during that, of course, you're talking to them and make sure that they understand. Phase 2, do it with me. Now you're going to test them out. Whether you're laying brick, you're laying tile, you're laying wood floor, doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're doing, do it with me. And you're going to see very quickly where they're at. Talk is cheap. Show me. And you're going to correct them as needed. Again, this cycle could be 2 hours, 2 weeks, 2 months, hopefully not 2 years, but it's going to take a minute, right? But ultimately, if they can't make it past this phase, should you keep them around? I'll give you the easy answer. No. Why would you keep somebody around who can't do the work while you're showing them how to do it? Fair? All right. So let's say they make it through phase 2. Now we go on to phase 3. Phase 3 is now you do it. In the military and police world, we have a very simple phrase. Keeps us safe. It's called trust, but verify. You put your ego aside. I don't care how long you've been doing this. I don't care how good you are. My job is to verify that you did what you were supposed to do. I have a client who, by the way, if you're a builder in here, this is a really cool idea. He now uses QR codes that he puts on every room in every house that he builds. And every contractor can scan that QR code and then look up the electrical plans, the drywall plans, the paint color, whatever trade they are, they know what that room needs to look like. Okay. But guess what? His project manager, when the trade says we're done, goes back and checks and makes sure that it's done. If it's not, they don't get paid. Period. with your employees. I don't know if you can withhold paychecks, but the point is trust but verify, right? How do you know that they're doing the work that they need to do? You are verifying. It's either you or somebody else on your team, but you need to verify that they're doing things right. If not, it's going to cause more problems and headaches down the road. Okay. Next and final phase. We've talked about leadership, culture, marketing, sales, recruiting, hiring, and training. And now we're going to talk about the thing that will actually help you grow, and that is systems. Remember this simple phrase. If it's duplicatable, it's scalable. If it's duplicatable, it's scalable. If it's not, it's not. If you remember the Model T Ford, right? Henry Ford, the Model T was the first vehicle that was mass produced on an assembly line. And the only way that he was able to mass produce it was he made it duplicatable. People had very specific tasks at very specific stations to do very specific things. And it couldn't move on until they finished that task, right? Now, today, of course, there's more machines involved. There's still humans involved, but more machines. But it's the same thing. They make something duplicatable, which allows it to become scalable. If you want to grow your business and not increase the amount of hours that you're working, you need systems and processes. You need to understand, how do I make what I do duplicatable? How do I make what I do scalable? Every single thing that we just talked about can be duplicated. Your marketing plan can be duplicated. Your sales process, duplicated. Your follow-up process, duplicated. The way that you hire and train, duplicated. Everything can be duplicated, but you have to set up the system first. Does that make sense? You don't hire first, walk away. I was working with a gutter company out of Idaho for a little bit of time, and bless his soul, he was doing about $600,000 a year. He's like, "Hey man, I'm blowing up. Like, I need some help." I said, "Cool." And we decided that he needed a project manager. We defined the role, the responsibilities, and then he went out and went to work. He found a guy, ex-military, ton of experience, like on paper, seemed like the perfect hire. So he hires him, and I'm like, cool. Make sure that in his role, his job is to make sure that the work's getting done, but your job is to make sure that he's doing the work that he needs to do. Yeah. Totally get it. 3 months later, he comes to me and looked like he's seen a ghost. I said, what happened? Tells me he has to fire his project manager. It's like, what happened? Well, he wasn't checking on the jobs. So the quality of the jobs was going downhill. We're getting a ton of callbacks. People were stealing stuff on the job site. Oh, and by the way, he was also doing jobs on the side. So he was stealing my stuff. Sucky situation to be in. But I'm telling you this for a very particular reason. It's not a person's job to make sure that the business runs efficiently, that the business runs the right way, that things happen the way that they need to do. It's your job. Now, you may hire somebody for it, but it's still your responsibility. Everything is your responsibility. And it goes back to the first pillar that we talked about of a successful business. What is that first pillar? Leadership. It all falls back on you. So think about what we just talked about, these 5 different areas, right? We talked about leadership. We talked about marketing and sales. We talked about your recruiting. We talked about your culture. We talked about your systems and your processes. Overall, when you're rating yourself, where did you end up? And I want you to think about back to high school. My youngest son is in high school right now, and he hates it. He's about to graduate this year. He hates it, right? We hated it because we were held to a standard that we didn't understand. But this is a lot different. This is your business. And I'm not the one rating you. Justin's not the one rating you. You're rating yourself. So let's just say out of the 50 total points that were possible, you gave yourself 35. So if we double that up, that's 70 out of 100. What is 70 out of 100? It's a low C. That means you are average. Congratulations. If you were below a 70, let's say you were a 30, so that would put you a 60, you're below average. Anything below 60, you're failing. Now, I don't want you to take that the wrong way. If you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm not going to give it to you. Maybe someone else will, but don't feel bad. You just need to be really aware of where it is that your business is at right now. Because if your business is not where it needs to be, it's nobody's fault but yours. It's nobody's responsibility but yours. There's a book called Leadership and Self-Deception. Highly, highly recommend that you get it or that you download it on Audible, listen to it, because it will shift the way that you think about things. When we're young, when we go to school or church or family or whatever, okay, we're taught that we need to fall in line, somebody else's line. Whether it's the pastor, the preachers, whether it's the school teachers, sports, right? All of these different things that we participate in ultimately were created by someone else, which means someone else is in charge. And our job is to toe the line. When you started working, you were working for someone else. And your job was to do things the way that they wanted them done. Now you're out on your own. Congratulations. You can no longer depend or wait for someone else to tell you or show you how to do things. You can't. You are the leader. There is no one else in front of you. Everyone is looking at you and waiting for you to tell them what to do and how to do it. When something goes wrong, you can't blame it on anyone else. You can't blame it on your employee. You can't blame it on a sub. You can't blame it on your client. You can't blame it on the environment. You can't blame it on the economy. You can't blame it on politics. You can only blame it on you. There's something empowering, though, that happens in this situation. You're in complete control, meaning that you can make the changes that need to be made. You can adapt, you can shift, you can overcome, you can start over. There's a mountain in downtown Phoenix. Maybe it's not downtown, but close enough to downtown. It's called Camelback Mountain. That's right. There's a mountain in Phoenix. Go figure. I lived in Phoenix for 20 plus years. And for a large number of years, at least once a week, I would go hike Camelback Mountain. If you hike Camelback, you know what I'm talking about. It's about a mile, I think, and a quarter. So it's not a super long hike, but it's a super steep hike. The first part, you follow a trail. Literally, it's a trail, a switchback trail up to a certain area. Then you hit the rocks. Well, when you hit the rocks, there's a certain particular way that you have to go up. There's no other way to go up. But once you get about halfway up, everything changes because there's multiple ways from that particular point to get to the summit, to get to the top. Which way's the right way? There's more than one. And you get to choose which one you're going to take. You can go directly up. You can go to the left or to the right. There's a particular area that it looks like a boulder waterfall. It's literally just a bunch of boulders that at some point fell, formed, whatever. And you can go left, right, middle. You can bounce back and forth. But there's an infinite number of ways to get to the top. At the end of the day, though, what's the only thing that matters? That you get to the top. It's the same thing in your business, right? You're right now trying to do things the way that someone else has done it, right? And it's not working. It's not working because you haven't taken ownership. Can you do it that way? Sure. There's success out there, and success leaves clues. And you should, by all means, if you find someone successful, figure out what they did and mirror it, right? But when things don't go the way that they should go, or people do things that they shouldn't do, or things aren't working the way that they should, it's your responsibility, right? At any moment, you can choose to shift the path. You might have to go down a couple steps to go left, but then you can go back up, right? You might not be able to climb this particular boulder because it's too big. You don't have the training, you don't have the skill sets, you don't have the equipment to do it. That's okay. Find another way around. But at the end of the day, it's your ability to adapt and overcome. It's your ability to accept responsibility that will lead to your success or ultimately to your failure. So here we are, Monday, March 4th. 2 months have gone by already in 2024. You have 10 months left. 10 months left to do the thing that you said you're going to do, whatever that thing is. And first of all, if you don't know what that thing is, that's a separate problem. But if you're not clear on where you're going, how are you going to get there? If you're not clear on the steps it's going to take to get there, how are you going to get there? If you're not constantly measuring, modifying, adapting to what's in front of you, how are you going to get there? You won't. And it'll be another year of, man, that was supposed to be my year. January roll around, you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this year. And another year rolls by and you haven't done it. There's no shortage of employees. There's a shortage of good companies with good leaders who can attract good employees. There's no shortage of opportunity out there. There's a shortage of good leaders who understand how to take advantage of opportunities. Everything is possible if you choose for it to be. Everything is impossible if that's the way that you see it. So my challenge to each of you today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, the rest of this month, the rest of this year, take responsibility. If it's not happening the way you want it to, good. Do something about it. Bitching and moaning aren't going to help you. If you keep surrounding yourself with people who feel pity for you, you're around the wrong people. Part of this experience that I was with my buddies, this mastermind, was what was a thing that we call return and report, where we stand in front of the group, 11 other business owners, and we talk about what happened. And we all set particular targets, and some of us hit it and some of us didn't. But there's nowhere to hide. There's no excuses to make. It's literally the facts. I did this or I did not. Here's why it happened. Here's why it didn't. And we do that because in truth, you can find solutions, right? I can stand there with 11 other men and say, hey, look, this is where we wanted to be. We only got to here. Here's the things that we attempted to do last year. Here's the success and the failures that we had with it. And I can have these people, these men, my brothers, stand there and say, good job here. That sucked here. Try and do this next time. Here's a tool that will help you do that better next time. And inside of that, accelerate my growth. Don't think that you have to do this thing alone. Justin is building something absolutely amazing inside of Contractor Plus. Everything that you would need to grow your business. Everything. But are you leveraging it the way that you should be leveraging it? Are you even taking advantage of it the way that it was meant to be taken advantage of? Are you surrounding yourself with people who want to help you grow? People who will be honest with you, people who will challenge you? Or would you rather just hang out with a few other folks, drink some beers on the weekend, and try and forget about the things that happened because it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to? Which one? Well, that's it for this episode of Mindset Monday. But I do want to bring on Justin really quick because he's going to talk about a couple of features that are going to be dropping here shortly inside of Contractor Plus. These features that will help you ultimately build the business.
What's going on, Garrett?
What's up, my man? So talk about this. We got a new dashboard. We got a new leads manager. We got a bunch of different things happening.
We have a lot actually. That's we've got a 5-person QA team, and a lot of our product development is actually done. It's completed, but we can't take it live until it's been properly tested. So last month we took the client portal and the request forms live. Booking forms are still pending in that. So that's a quick follow to that. That'll be coming soon as well. This month we have a brand new dashboard that's coming live. So that screen, when you log in, whether you're on the mobile screen, if you notice when you use the mobile app, it's a red screen. It's kind of basic. And if you use web, it looks totally different. So that's going away. Brand new dashboard, regardless of what device you're on, your iPad, your mobile phone, the web. It's very fast, very clean, has everything you could imagine that it would need. So that's going live. We have improvements coming to the leads manager as well. We're adding a Kanban view where you can drag and drop and track each of your lead or prospect status. So you can see where they're at in the deal flow. Do I need to follow up? Have they converted to a client? Do we have a job that's pending? And you can customize those statuses. So now you don't need to pay for a third-party CRM to track that stuff. That's two of 3 or 4 things that are going to make it live this month. And then immediately after, you're going to notice some huge improvements to the estimation module. Probably end of the month, early next month, you'll start seeing some changes there, making it live. We're going to roll it out in phases. Namely, we're adding the ability to add multiple line item options. So you can give your customers the ability to choose which option, A, B, or C, good, better, best. And based on your customer's input, it'll populate the total at the bottom. So now you can totally use your estimates or quotes, and they can be dynamically generated by your customers. You will also be able to choose what you call your estimates. Some of y'all like to call them quotes. Some of y'all like to call them estimates. Some of y'all like to call them proposals. So in the settings, you'll be able to change that module name altogether. So we're just giving you a lot more control and flexibility, and a lot more to come after that.
That is awesome.
One other thing, real fast. If y'all haven't already, I've been sending some of you guys emails, at least the paying users and the most active users. We have a WeFunder campaign live. This is your opportunity. You can become an owner, a fractional owner in Contractor Plus. We have filed Reg C or Reg CF with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which gives us the legal ability to raise from non-accredited investors. What that means in layman's terms, 7 years ago now, not very long ago, less than 10 years ago, if you weren't accredited, if you weren't already a millionaire, then you couldn't invest in startups. And now you can. So if you're interested, reach out on our chat, reach out on our support. Let us know you're interested. I'll send you my cell phone number. We can link up. We'd love to chat about it, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.
Let's go. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that Justin just talked about, but it means nothing if you're not in there using it, right? Use it, abuse it, try it out. If you got questions, guess what? He's got a team to be able to answer those things for you, right? This is all meant to help you get a lot more efficient and a lot more profitable when it comes to your jobs. So take full advantage of it. All right, that's all we got for you on this beautiful Monday morning. You guys know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1.